In a hyper-connected age, not posting on social media is more than a choice. It's a statement. It reflects confidence, clarity, and control. While the world rushes to share every moment, those who stay silent remind us of something deeper, that life doesn't need to be witnessed to be meaningful. In a world where every thought, meal, and emotion is uploaded, shared, and analyzed, silence has become a form of rebellion. We often talk about those who post their filters, their followers, their curated selves, but rarely do we examine those who choose not to. The people who observe quietly, who live without broadcasting their lives online, operate from a very different psychological space. In a world where social approval has become a digital currency, those who resist the pull of constant sharing stand out, not because they are disconnected, but because they are grounded in a different source of validation. The first and perhaps most defining trait of people who don't post on social media is that they seek authentic validation rather than digital approval. To understand this deeply, we have to look beyond behavior and into the subtle psychological mechanisms that shape self-worth in the modern age. For most active social media users, the brain's reward system plays a major role. Every like, comment, or share triggers a small dopamine release, creating a cycle of anticipation and reward. Over time, the person becomes conditioned to seek these digital affirmations as a sign of value and relevance. But those who refrain from posting operate differently. They find satisfaction in intrinsic motivation, that is, motivation derived from inner fulfillment, not external applause. Their sense of achievement or happiness is built upon personal effort, self-reflection, and genuine emotional connections rather than public recognition. Psychologically, these individuals tend to have stronger internal loci of control, meaning they believe their happiness and success depend primarily on their own actions and attitudes, rather than on how others perceive them. This internal grounding provides emotional stability. Where others may fluctuate with the rise and fall of engagement metrics, non-posters remain steady, unaffected by the volatile nature of online approval. They are also less vulnerable to social comparison, a phenomenon that drives much of the anxiety and insecurity linked to social media use. When someone constantly posts, they often do so with a subconscious need for affirmation, to prove that their life is meaningful, exciting, or worthy of attention. But those who don't post are often content with their private reality. They don't require the validation loop to confirm that they're doing well or that their experiences matter. Their worth is self-defined, not crowd-verified. Interestingly, this behavior doesn't come from arrogance or detachment. It often stems from humility and self-assurance. These individuals tend to value depth over display. They would rather have a single heartfelt conversation than hundreds of superficial likes. Their confidence is quiet, the kind that doesn't demand visibility to feel real. There's also a philosophical side to their mindset. In choosing not to constantly present a digital image, they are rejecting the idea that every moment must be witnessed to have value. They live with the understanding that life's richness comes from being present, not performing. This orientation aligns with mindfulness, a psychological state of awareness, where one's focus is rooted in the now. When people live through their senses and emotions instead of their screens, they experience events more vividly and store memories more authentically. Ultimately, the psychology of those who don't post reveals a profound truth, that validation built on external attention is fragile, but validation built on inner awareness endures. Their silence is not an absence, it's an act of strength, a refusal to let algorithms define their sense of worth. They are not disconnected from life, they are deeply connected to themselves. People who choose not to post on social media often share a deep and consistent trait, a powerful sense of privacy and self-awareness. In a culture where oversharing has become a social expectation, maintaining privacy isn't simply an act of withdrawal, it's a deliberate psychological choice rooted in self-understanding and personal boundaries. These individuals have a clear sense of who they are, and they understand the value of keeping parts of themselves away from public consumption. This is not about secrecy or fear of judgment, rather it's about self-concept clarity, a stable understanding of one's identity that doesn't require constant reinforcement from others. For many people, social media has blurred the line between the personal and the public. Every photo, thought, or achievement becomes a performance, subtly curated to shape how others perceive us. Over time, this performative cycle can distort a person's authentic sense of self. Those who choose not to participate in it are, in a sense protecting their mental and emotional integrity. They know that the more you expose yourself to the digital crowd, the easier it is to start living through external perception. By choosing silence, they maintain control over their narrative. They decide who gets access to their life, what remains sacred, and what stays within the walls of their own mind. Psychologically, these individuals tend to have a strong sense of boundaries, not just in relationships but in self-expression. They understand that privacy is not isolation, it's preservation. Keeping aspects of their life unshared allows them to process experiences authentically, without the subtle pressure of audience approval. This quiet space helps them develop emotional resilience and introspection, as they are not constantly influenced by the opinions or judgments of others. Their identity grows from within rather than being shaped by likes, comments, or social comparison. There's also a dimension of emotional intelligence involved. People who avoid posting are often more in tune with their emotional needs and the psychological effects of exposure. They know that each post, no matter how small, invites attention, expectations, and sometimes even misunderstanding. To them, privacy is not about hiding, it's about maintaining peace. They recognize that peace of mind often requires a distance from digital noise and the endless feedback loops that come with public sharing. Furthermore, these individuals tend to have a low dependency on social validation. They do not rely on public acknowledgement to feel confident or secure. Their self-worth is nurtured through real-world experiences, through relationships, personal accomplishments, and internal growth. This independence reflects psychological maturity. It shows that they have developed an internal compass strong enough to guide them without needing the reassurance of others. In many cases, non-posters also exhibit a deep respect for authenticity. They prefer genuine human connections that unfold naturally, without filters or performance. When they interact, they do so intentionally and meaningfully. They listen more than they announce, observe more than they display. Their self-awareness allows them to resist the illusion of online identity and remain grounded in their real selves. Ultimately, the psychology of those who don't post is defined by quiet confidence and emotional clarity. They are not running away from the world, they're simply choosing to engage with it on their own terms. Their privacy is not an absence of expression, but a conscious form of self-respect. A reminder that not every truth needs to be seen to be real. People who choose not to post on social media often live by an unspoken principle: presence is more valuable than performance. In a world that rewards constant display, their decision to step back reflects a deeper psychological orientation toward mindful living. These individuals are not necessarily against technology or social interaction. Rather, they reject the idea that every experience must be documented to hold meaning. Their focus lies in being fully engaged with the moment, feeling it, understanding it, and living it, without the need to turn it into content. When most people experience something significant, a trip, a meal, a celebration, the impulse is often to capture and share it. This instinct is not entirely superficial. It comes from the human desire to connect and be seen. But the moment we turn our attention toward the camera, we subtly shift from living the experience to performing it. Those who refrain from posting understand this trade-off instinctively. They value the authentic emotional depth of an experience more than the visual representation of it. Psychologically, this behavior reflects a state of mindfulness, where one's awareness is rooted in the present moment rather than distracted by external validation or digital engagement. These individuals are often more attuned to sensory and emotional detail: the sound of the wind, the warmth of sunlight, the genuine laughter of a friend. Their enjoyment is not filtered through a screen or measured by the reactions of others. This focus on presence allows them to build stronger memories and deeper connections. Research in psychology supports this idea. When people multitask between living and recording an event, they tend to remember less and feel less emotionally engaged. Non-posters, by contrast, experience life in high definition, through attention, not applause. Another important aspect of their mindset is the rejection of performance culture. Social media has turned ordinary moments into stages for validation, subtly training people to craft identities rather than express them. Those who choose not to post are often aware of this performative cycle and deliberately avoid it. They see that when every moment is shared, authenticity begins to erode, replaced by subtle acts of curation and exaggeration. Their refusal to participate is in many ways an act of rebellion against the psychological conditioning that tells us we must be seen to exist. Emotionally, they find satisfaction in solitude and intimacy. Their joy comes from the experience itself, not from broadcasting it. They are the ones who attend a concert and watch with eyes open, rather than through a phone screen, who share laughter in person instead of typing "LO." For them, the world is not a background for selfies, but a living space to be explored and felt. Ultimately, their psychology reveals a profound simplicity. They don't need an audience to confirm their existence. Their value doesn't depend on visibility. They understand that life's most meaningful moments often lose their magic when exposed to the crowd. By choosing presence over performance, they remind us of something the digital age often forgets, that the truest connection is not between a person and their followers, but between a person and the moment they are living. People who don't post on social media often stand apart in one profound way. They are less trapped by the endless cycle of comparison that dominates modern digital life. Social media platforms are engineered to encourage us to measure ourselves against others, to compare our appearance, success, relationships, and even our happiness. Every scroll invites silent competition, every post a subtle benchmark. Yet, those who abstain from this cycle demonstrate a different psychological orientation. They operate with a lower need for social comparison, a quality that protects their sense of self-worth and emotional balance in powerful ways. At its core, social comparison is a natural human tendency. Psychologist Leon Festinger proposed that people evaluate themselves by comparing their traits and achievements with those of others. It's a built-in mechanism that helps us understand where we stand socially. However, on social media, this mechanism becomes distorted. The comparisons are no longer realistic. They're between one's authentic life and another's carefully edited highlight reel. This distortion breeds feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and envy. People who avoid posting recognize this trap and consciously opt out of it. They know that constant exposure to curated perfection can warp perception and diminish self-esteem. Psychologically, their restraint often comes from self-acceptance and emotional maturity. They don't need constant reassurance that they're doing well, because their sense of worth isn't derived from public approval or visual proof. These individuals are grounded in their private realities. They understand that life's true meaning lies in personal growth, not in outperforming others. Their emotional independence shields them from the toxic loop of envy and self-doubt that social media often fuels. There's also a subtle wisdom in how they view others. Instead of competing, they observe. Instead of comparing, they empathize. Their perspective is often shaped by realistic thinking, not by the filtered illusions that dominate digital platforms. They understand that everyone struggles, even those who appear perfect online. This awareness fosters compassion rather than competition. By refusing to engage in the metrics of likes and followers, they free themselves from the invisible hierarchy that social media imposes, a hierarchy where worth is measured by visibility rather than authenticity. Interestingly, their detachment doesn't mean indifference. They can still appreciate other people's achievements and beauty, but without turning admiration into insecurity. This is a sign of psychological resilience, the ability to acknowledge others' success while maintaining one's own sense of value. Their inner dialogue is healthier and quieter. They compare themselves only to who they were yesterday, not to who someone else appears to be today. Ultimately, the decision not to post is an act of self-preservation in a culture addicted to comparison. It allows them to protect their inner peace, to live without the constant subconscious measurement that drains joy from daily life. They understand that the need to keep up is a game no one ever truly wins. By stepping away, they reclaim their autonomy, freeing their minds from the noise of digital judgment. In doing so, they remind us of an essential truth: self-worth doesn't grow in the mirror of others. It grows in the quiet acceptance of one's own journey. People who choose not to post on social media often carry a calm depth that stands in stark contrast to the noise of constant online expression. They are not driven by the need to be seen or to gather attention. Instead, they thrive in observation and introspection. While the digital world revolves around visibility, these individuals find meaning in watching, thinking, and understanding rather than performing. Their silence is not a void. It's a form of awareness. Psychologically, this behavior reflects introverted intuition and analytical depth, the tendency to process the world internally before responding outwardly. Such individuals are often the quiet observers in a room, noticing patterns others miss. They read body language, tone, and subtext. They pay attention not just to what people say, but to what they leave unsaid. This reflective nature allows them to form more accurate perceptions of the world around them. While many rush to express their opinions online, the non-poster tends to pause. They prefer to think before speaking, to understand before judging. In psychology, this trait is linked to cognitive restraint, the ability to delay reaction until one's thoughts are fully formed. This creates emotional intelligence and depth, as their responses stem from understanding rather than impulse. The modern social media environment rewards speed and visibility, posting first, reacting fast, staying relevant. But the person who doesn't post exists outside of that rhythm. They are less influenced by trends or groupthink. Their identity isn't shaped by public validation, but by private reflection. In this way, they maintain a strong sense of individuality. They are not swayed easily because they have built an internal framework of values and beliefs through independent thought. This kind of psychological autonomy is rare in a digital age that constantly pressures people to conform to popular opinion. There is also a sense of peace that comes with their silence. Constant engagement. Social media demands energy. It keeps the mind in a loop of expectation, reaction, and evaluation. Those who refrain from posting conserve that energy for inner growth. They spend more time reading, observing, and learning. Instead of projecting an image, they refine their understanding. Their mental world becomes richer, because it is not diluted by the constant noise of online validation. This quiet nature also reveals a mature relationship with attention. They understand that attention, like energy, is limited and precious. Seeking it constantly can make a person dependent on others for self-esteem. By not chasing visibility, they develop self-sufficiency of the mind, a state where their peace and purpose come from within. They do not need applause to feel worthy, nor do they require an audience to feel alive. Ultimately, their silence is their strength. It allows them to observe without distortion, to feel without the pressure to display, and to think without interruption. While the world rushes to broadcast every moment, they remind us of something timeless, that the deepest minds often speak the least, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that truth doesn't need to shout to be real. In a hyper-connected age, not posting on social media is more than a choice. It's a statement. It reflects confidence, clarity, and control. While the world rushes to share every moment, those who stay silent remind us of something deeper, that life doesn't need to be witnessed to be meaningful. Sometimes the quietest people online are the loudest voices of self-awareness in real life.